It's very cool to have LPs. It's particularly cool to have early LPs. I had a kid, that's my age, but this guy's in his early 20s. We worked with him a lot. He's a DJ, local DJ. His mentality is record, because he's playing 12-inch vinyl all the time. So record is a black round thing, that diameter that you play. And he came up to our level 3 the other day when Tony and I were working, and he said, I wanted to see some of your Miles Davis stuff. And we showed him a really beautiful 1950s 10-inch LP, and this was just gorgeous. And the guy just said, I want that, I want to take that. And I went on and I said, look, it's not wonderful condition. He said, it doesn't matter, I don't want to play it. I said, you don't want to play it? What you buying it for? He said, I've just got into Miles Davis, and I want to buy something which represents a Miles Davis artifact. I'm buying, to me, he said, a piece of history, and I'm buying a direct reference to an artist I'm really into. So I'm selling on a different level now. This guy's not just buying it to play, he's buying it to hold, to have, to show off, and be part of his house.
If I'm having a bad time or I've had a bad day somewhere, I can always put on a Beatles record or a John Lennon or Paul McCartney record, and it makes me feel better. It's as simple as that. Over the years I've amassed a complete collection of vinyl from the first Love Me Do right up to the present day. I've amassed, as well as that, videos, cassette tapes, reel-to-reel tapes, and it's probably one of the largest private collections in the UK.
Collectors are always proud of what they've collected. They'll happily show you their gold labels and their triangular centres. All collectors are unusual in their way. They had to be eccentric to collect. In many cases they're spending money on things that are really worthless, just to hoard at home.
I have signed pictures from George Martin, Ringo Starr, 2 of Paul McCartney, an entire set of Beatles autographs on an old 1960s postcard. For me, I had to make the purchase because it was the only way at that time I could obtain John Lennon's autograph.
The 26th of December 1974 at 9:05 p.m. Cliff was mentioned on Steptoe & Son. Harold was talking about Christmas television. And there'd be a Christmas Scylla and a Christmas Lulu, and I bet you Cliff Richard will be singing Ave Maria with the young generation.
Here is the envelope I received from New York with a Christmas card in it from Yoko Ono. I've been getting Christmas cards from Yoko for the last few years, and this one in particular was a nice one for me.
The first time I met Cliff was in July 1974 at 4:25 p.m. Mad rush up to London, queue to meet Cliff, and it was at a fan club get-together. And the amazing thing was, I was a 15-year-old schoolgirl, and I was standing next to Cliff, and my thoughts were, you're a millionaire, I'm a schoolgirl, yet Cliff was so ordinary.
These are Beatles' houses. Tittenhurst Park Gates, Paul's house in London, the back of the Magical Mystery Tour bus. That's myself outside the Grapes, which is the pub that was opposite the old cavern. Although I've never really sat down and spoken with any of them at great length or really ever met any, for me they've been my guiding light, an example to look up to. My wife does like Paul McCartney more than the other 3, I should say. But having said that, she quite accepts the collection that I have, and indeed it was her suggestion that it came into storage because it started to grow to such a size that when we had the children it was just impossible to keep it in the house.
They do risk being laughed at by other people. We have a guy who shops with us, and he won't mind me talking about it. He used to work for us actually, a guy called Peter, who was so into Springsteen, Bruce Springsteen, he wanted every issue of every album. So he would buy Born to Run, and on the back it says printed in Brazil. and on the next one it will say printed in Madrid, and another one will say printed in Venezuela. But the front covers are identical. So you go to Peter's house and you'd look at the Born to Run section of his rack, and he'd have 40 Born to Run albums, ostensibly identical, except they'd have tiny imprint differences.
This little beauty here is basically it's a 1969 Rockola jukebox, which I purchased for an absolute pittance, and customised with my own ability and my own hand, and filling with my favourite 45s, which I purchased where I work. This, to me, shows you how music is so important to me, and the ultimate jukebox is the Rockola. Rock and roll. Be good to rock and roll be good to you.
What drives people to sit in the cold on the top of Gatwick Tower and collect tailcodes of aeroplanes, or stand on the end of East Croydon platform in the same cold and collect train numbers? I don't know. I don't mock these guys, and I admire people's hobbies. I think that's great. That's enthusiasm. That's not just sitting down with your mind in neutral watching the telly, is it? You're actually going out and doing something, and I find that I like that. But I can't sometimes quite understand why you want 140-something Pink Floyd albums.
I love records. I love sorting out records. I'm a person that has to have everything in order, so I'm continually sorting. We've got boxes of records which I'll be sorting till the day I retire, because there's so many of them.
I don't necessarily believe that quantity is necessarily the be-all and end-all. I have something like 350 soundtracks, all of which I regard as of some serious quality. The John Barry side covers something over 100, and I'd like to think that I've got all of his recordings in some shape or form.
The whole collecting side of things, be it records or be it stamps, once it's in your blood, it's hard to get rid of, and sometimes I wish I could get rid of it, because you end up spending a fortune sometimes.
I'm not going to say to you that I play every item. I actually would buy it if it was in good condition, and I'd probably put it away on the shelf and only look at it out of curiosity from time to time.
Okay, some people call me an Anaraki, but then why not? I mean, you're only on this earth once, so you can't spend your money when you're dead, so you might as well spend it when you're alive and enjoy yourself.
I spent quite a number of years writing, telephoning and bidding in auctions for this American item. I have in fact now got the pucker job, the mint stereo one, but it's the third time of asking, and it's cost me something like £400 to get it.
It's a difficult one, because for me, I don't like people knowing I've got a record collection. Does that make sense? And I don't want the world to know I've got a record collection. It's a horrible thing to say, but in this day and age, you've got to be so careful, because there's so many scumbags out there who want to come and nick your stuff, you know. And if I caught someone in my home, I don't think I could be held responsible, because I would actually go doolally.
I started collecting records in 1974. I'm still collecting now, so that's 26 years. And it's been a big part of my life, so from 16 right up to 41, I'm still collecting records. Still buying the up-to-date stuff as well. So I haven't lost touch. So I'm not mad.
I used to queue up at the local cinema and see these films. It may have been a good film, or it may have had brilliant music. And one would go out the following week into the local record shop and rummage through the racks, and I was looking perhaps for a souvenir of the film.
I think I'm lucky, because I was brought up on music and brought up on records. So, having an Elvis Presley selling out to play when I was 12 years old made a big difference. I guess there was a lot of kids out there who didn't have that privilege. I was lucky. I got to Frisbee records that I didn't like. Then my dad would bring me some more home.
I think there's something really special about particularly buying a record that you had before. And a lot of our market are those sort of people that maybe had a record in the 60s or 70s and they gave them away, or they disappeared into those black hole parties where we took our records to and never brought them back, and goodness knows where they ever went. And by picking up a record which is ostensibly the same items they had, it'll look the same, it has the same cover, the same feel, it is an LP or a 45 of that year. Suddenly, when you pick up something like that, you can look at it and bang, you're back into that time again. You can smell the day, it'll jog all those memories. It could be your first love affair, it might be your first drive in your new car. You can just feel an era and a time. And the record serves to almost encapsulate or trigger that reaction.
My record collection, especially disco, is my youth, and I think it's nice to actually go back and sort of, even younger people say, well, I've never heard this, and then they've heard a remix of it, and I think, my God, is this original? And going to discos at the time, it was a big thing. I enjoy playing them. It still brings back the memories, people's faces. Okay, some of them are no longer here, but at the end of the day, I enjoy it. After a hard day's work, come home, slap it on, and just party, 24/7, basically.
Things like buying my first Cliff single, meeting my husband, playing him the first Cliff record. A collection is a life, really. It's the story of my life, it's the story of Cliff's life. I hope it'll be the story of our children's lives.
It's one of those sort of situations where it's something that's very sacred to you. You know, having said that, I tell you what, if I could have 3 minutes with my mum again, you could take the whole lot with you now.